Hi, welcome to Bonney. My name is Uni and I have made this bag here, Lady Mary Killigrew. And this is part number 4 in the 4-part series. This is the last part where we finish this bag. Let's get started. Now it's on to the lining. And we have a blue zipper. Let's do the zipper pocket first. And we do that the same way that we did the front and the back pocket. So if you get bored stiff, I'll do it on speed sewing. The only difference between this pocket and the other two front and back pockets is that we are not going to sew the bottom of this. Just remember, no sewing on the bottom. Now what you can do in order to make life easier for yourself is iron up this edge. Then you have to, if you are using waterproof canvas as well, you have to use a damp cloth. Because you're going to touch the plastic side of the canvas. I'm just putting it there, so I'm actually going to go and iron this. So it's going to be like this when you're done with that part. And then we have the other part, we will have a slip pocket. We're going to sew it with the right side towards the right side. And then we're going to leave a little hole here, like a couple, 3 inches in the bottom, that we're going to turn the pocket through. Cutting a little around the corner here. Now we can turn it. It's a little stiff, this waterproof canvas. But that's why we like it, because it's stiff and then it stiffens up the bag. So we need to use so much less interfacing. When you look at the pattern, there's a marking here for the pocket. So when I do these slip pockets, I could go a little skew back. So I get a little crow's foot, like I call it crow's feet. Then you do a line here on the center. You can measure if you like. I like to do crow's feet here. Then we need the bottom and the side gusset of the lining. And this seam allowance we're going to let go towards the side. Since we did the other one the other way. And then I'm going to cut into the seam allowance. I know where the seam allowance will be, because we're going to turn it around the corner like we did on the other bag. Let's mark the center again. So again, we let this bag part be on the bottom, so the gusset part is sticking up. Cut the other side. We need to cut both sides. Then we make a nice corner here. On this lining, we can use a little more seam allowance on the sides and on the bottom, but not up top. We need this to match the exterior up here. Now we can get rid of some of the seam allowance. Don't go too close to the corner. And now I want to top stitch it, because then I know that the lining is going to lay flat. So I'm pushing the seam allowance from the gusset over to the bag part. It goes well, except in the corner, I guess. I'm stretching the parts out. Let's do the same on this part, except we need to remember to leave the bottom here open. I will sew a little bit on each side, but we need the bottom open. When we have cut this cut here right into the corner, it's very easy to turn it 90 degrees. We're getting there with the lining. Let's do the recessed zipper. So it's going to go like this, another part there, and then the tail is going to hang out. So we start by putting the zipper all the way to the end. Clipping it on. And the end here, we're folding the seam allowance in like that. When we come to the end here, we're going to fold the zipper out of the way from the seam allowance. 90 degrees, we fold it 90 degrees. So here you can see I folded it up and out. We make sure the lining is a little shorter. Although we need to sew from where we see the seam here, so we sew it from there. Okay, so now we just sew the regular seam allowance here. Then, when we come to the seam here, we stop. Now we're sewing across the zipper, so now we're going to be a little careful. Help it, hand crank it if we have to. So now we just cut it off a little in the corner here, so we don't have so much seam allowance. So now we're ready to top stitch around here, the zipper panel. That's half of it, but that's the easy part. The first part is always the easiest. Now we need to do the other one exactly the same, but we stand a good chance if we start the same way we did. Start with the zipper to the end there. And then fold in the seam allowance. First, bend this in. And then just do a little quick check to see if this back end here looks pretty good. And the front. Yeah, it will work there. This is a little bit short, so I'll add on a little there. Let's try. And then we have the lining part that we sew again where we have the other seam. But I can fold this. Now I'm sewing over the zipper. Then I'm turning. Then I'm cutting the corner. Okay, we need to finger press this. Okay, one last check here. That looks good. Okay, that looks good. Now we can sew the little zipper tab on the end here. So let's just sew. Folding it over as far as I want it. I like it pretty square. And then we fold this part in. And now I'm stopping before the end of the zipper and sewing up here, because I'm going to cut away a little on the sides. It's sticking out a little bit on the sides, so we're going to cut that even. It's nice to actually buy some leather colors that matches the vinyl that you're playing with. So our zipper panel is ready. Then we can fasten it to the inside the decor panel. We like the center marks. Yeah, and then we need to mark our little recessed zipper. Mark that in the center. We have the inside panel. We can sew the side seam. Cut off the seam allowance a little bit here. Then I butterfly the seams, spread them like this to make it easier for ourselves. Then they won't be in the way for us. Do the same on the other side. Now we can put this zipper panel in. They're going to go on the lower side of this, right side against right side, exactly where the center is. Clip it in place. And sew. So it's going to be kind of like this, because it goes on the inside of the bag. So like this. So that goes there. So now we have the zipper panel fastened. So what we do now is we sew it onto the lining, to the outside of the lining. So what we're doing now is just basting this top. So the top of the decor panel goes on top of the bag. The vinyl is going to stretch, so I'm not going to sew it from the vinyl, I'm going to sew it from the lining. Unless you have a walking foot machine, vinyl will stretch. Now we need to sew this other seam here, the bottom, at the bottom here. So we're folding that in. If you have those large clips, that would help a little bit, I think. Yeah, folding this up or folding the zipper thing down. We have to sew from the vinyl side. Now is the time to put on your little walking foot. And there is a walking foot that comes with this machine too. But I lost it in the Hurricane Dorian. Things were spread everywhere. Let's try. Pretty good. We're done with the interior of the bag and the exterior of the bag, so why don't we just add them together? Here's my exterior. What if I do it like this? So the back has to be against the back. And as you see, I have put little clips on the metal rectangle so I don't get them in the seam, because I really don't want that. Make sure the seam allowance go the same way on the side seam. It has to go out towards the sides. Center there. So I'm making sure that the rubber foam does not stick up in our seam. Get that away. This is going to be thick enough as it is, so we don't want this rubber foam to interfere with our seam. Not at all. Let's sew from the lining, because we need the lining to stretch a little here. That's not going to happen because it's waterproof canvas, but it's like the lining is a tiny little bit smaller. But that's kind of good. So the machine has no problem with this, as long as we keep the metal rectangles away. So that was perfect. So even though it seemed like the lining was, that the outer shell was a little too big, when we sewed it from the lining, it came out perfect. We are now going to top stitch on the top, and we cannot have a lot of seam allowance in that seam. We will pull the bag through our hole here. Now we can close the bottom, and of course we do that by using this inside pocket that we left open just for this purpose. So we can get to the seam here and close it in an easy manner, of course, without having to sew by hand. Got that? Now we can actually close the pocket as well if everything else looks okay. should be all right. Then we close that. And then we can stick the whole lining back in. Then we need to clip all the way around here while we massage this pretty good. It's well worth spending the extra time top stitching the sides, because then the bag will be as big as possible on the inside. This seam here is the most nerve-wracking of them all, because it has to be pretty straight, and I think maybe you have to do it from the right side, and the vinyl will stretch, so that's why it's a little nerve-wracking. But what we can do to make life a little bit easier is take these table away. Ooh. Oh, my mess is showing now. And we have our little recessed zipper. Put the little tail down. Not so bad. All we need to do now is make the handles. On the handles, we use double-sided tape again. Put it down the center line. Well, you can make a line if you don't trust your eye measure. Fold it towards the center. So I'm using half the double-sided tape. We just want them to meet. Now we take another double-sided tape, put it to the center again, of course, where on the wrong side where we see those two edges meet. Then I have cut my little cord here. I'll find the center. They're 18 inches. Put that on there and then glue the cord on along the center line. Do the same on the other side. We'll cut little pieces only of this glue and put them on each little cord. So now you see we have glue all the way to the end there. Now we are going to cut. We need to find a little piece of vinyl. We need to cut it 4 inches long. And we cut them up so they're narrower on top than on the bottom. It tapers. We are going to sew to right where the our little cord goes, 3 inches. So it's looking like this. So now we're ready to fold this. Precisely in 2. So we're going to start the seam just so we cannot see the cord. We're going to start it right there. It's a little hard there, but with this little favorite tool, we can make it. So now it looks like this. And we cannot see the cord in there. Now let's do the other one. Now I will super quickly show you how we do the little tassel. I showed you a good deal when we were doing the cutting video, but in case you did not look at that. So I'm putting double-sided tape on. This is my little strap that I'm going to fold in 2. And I'm going to put that through my little swivel hook. This is what we do. We have already cut this with the rotary cutter. Now we put our little strap in here. Just let it stick out up a little bit. Only a little bit. Then we fold that around and we roll up the tassel happily. Then we punch a hole in it. You cannot have the tassel too thick and too big. Here we stick a rivet in there. Put the other end there. Put it on there. So there's our little tassel. In order for you not to die of old age while I'm doing this, I have already made one strap. So we are going to make the other. See, I'm trying to be considerate, finally. Let's check to see if they will be equally long now. That's important. Yes, that looks pretty good. Sew across twice. And it doesn't like to go back much. I have to help it. We need to put little rivets in this too. Just so you see the finishing touches here. One with the little neck in one side, and then the little cap on the other. And then imagine that, we're done, we finished, yeah! So here it is, finished result. It's a pretty cool bag, we can even put it on our shoulder. This is it in black, with cork and black vinyl, with the straps that comes with the pattern. Here are some strap connectors from Sally Tomato. Nickel or silver color. Here is gold or antique gold. And here is gunmetal black. So if you don't want to make it, this look kind of fun to me. I've painted this, so God knows how long the paint is going to stay on, but when you buy them, you can cover this. There's a little metal piece here, you can cover that with fabric, but the vinyl was a little too thick. Anyway, I just wanted to show you options. My next bag is going to be a little simpler, so not for really fearless bag makers, but it's a simple little one with pocket in the back, pocket in the front, slip pocket here for the phone. Of course, it's lined on the inside here. So this is a crossbody bag. Subscribe and you will get notified when my new pattern comes out. Thank you so much for watching. You've hopefully watched all 4 parts and you're ready to start your own bag. Good luck! To see more patterns, go on my website ambonneybags.com. Thank you, have a wonderful day.